everyone, welcome to Griffin. We are here in the second half of May, and this meadow that we've created here, you might recall we bought ourselves a tester last time, and you can see that it was a mod tester and it's got a bigger testing circle, and so what I'm expecting is that it won't take nearly as many readings to deal with the field. So we'll just move over here just a little bit. We won't get too fussy with it. That'll give us a good go. Of course, with the overnight, with our interest and everything else, leasing costs for the equipment kicking in, we don't we've gone back into the negatives again, so we will need to finish that fertilizing contract in order to sort out our finances. Let's just try and line up here so we don't get too wasteful. We also need to do the oat field. The grass is less important, but the oats on the other side there, you can see that sort of dealt with quite a lot of that field there. Let's out of the hoping we're not going. We are going to destroy crop with these tires. Okay, we're going to have to do this field from the edge. So I'm hoping that a larger radius will be enough to get us at least most of the field scanned. But it also means we might struggle to get some fertiliser on it without damaging the crop as well, so just have to see how we go, I guess. That's not too bad. That got to the end. I thought these were narrows, but obviously I am mistaken. Now this radius on this piece of equipment just feels a little less tedious than the other one. How far in there do you need to be? That's very interesting. Let's try it up here a bit. Alright. Access there. Yep. Around the corner here where we've already lost some crop. What about here? Just back in there and see if that just about gets bridge that we want. That's better. Go pretty close. This won't be perfect, but at least now we own the machine, so can easily come out and get the bits. Oh, goodness me. We must be quite close to the boundary here. Very strange. The other interesting thing is it's the oh yes they are. No, we can't get on there and do that. I was about to say I thought that front tyres were the only ones damaging the crop, but they aren't, so the reason we are worried about this at all is because we won't be able to get fertiliser to actually take effect. You can spread it, but it doesn't seem to have any effect if you can't read the field. So okay, that looks like the extent. So there's a bit there that I just can't get to. And we'll finish off the rest of the grass field. And then we'll go and do this fertilising contract so that we can get our samples sorted out. Into that centre section there. Get any of that bit that I missed, maybe. Let's head down here. Oops, let's go back over that way. Where are we? A little bit off. We're right here, don't we? If you're wondering what I'm looking at, I'm just watching the circle in the mini-map, and I'm using the fact that it's displaying the horseplay course to help me see where the edge of this field is. And once I activate the scan, it only colours in the field, so it only recognises the field as something that you need to scan. Where are we here? We want to be in that direction. There. There's probably one more down in the bottom corner there. Okay. So, in order to get those samples to analyze, soil samples to analyze. 12, it won't let me do them, I don't think. Oh yeah, it sent them away even though I don't have any money. Let's see if that, we might learn something about how the system works here. So we'll fold that up, and you can do soil testing this way without having any money. That's good to know. You can pay for your soil samples with a credit card. We'll leave this guy here for the present. Let's have a look at our map. And what we learn is, wow, this field that we're using as a grass field is almost all loam. So the first conclusion I draw from that is at a minimum we need to, for next season, switch this around and use this for our grass field and this for our crop. So that's good to know. And but apart from that, what are our 41 and 41? So we've got a little bit to get them up. Our other field is sitting at 83, I think. Yeah, so that's coming up all right. So let's go and find out, just because I'm curious, whether the tyres on this tractor will also destroy the crop. And the place we're going to test that is down near. We won't fertilise this section for the minute because it's not important. But if we're going to drive on the fields, we probably should do it down where we haven't been able to test, because if we destroy the crop, at least we can drive out there. Let's find out on this corner here, actually. Is that going to kill the crop for me? Isn't that funny? Hey. So the tyres on the... So we need to put the tester on this tractor, basically. Well, we learned something today. So these narrows... will let us do the field. And that's slipping wider than I expected. Run down in a second and grab the tester so that we can do that bit we missed. It is a bit strange that the big heavy tractor damages the crop, but the much lighter one doesn't. Sorry, the other way around. Let's just pause that there and go back and grab our tester. Sorry for the fiddling around, folks, but we're learning as we go on this farm. It's always good to have a bit of an experiment, even if it's not intended to be an experiment. In a minute we'll be right over where we need to be. Bit annoyed that even so that I did destroy some crop finding that out, but there we go. That'll cover the area we missed. There's one patch for whatever reason we couldn't grab on the side over here. So that's that job done. And Y sends them off. which then we can fold up. And pop you down there. And go back and finish our fertilising. I had a look at the contracts before. There was still only, in addition to the one we're holding, there was only the baling contract. So that will, I'm not proposing to do any baling at this stage. Okay. I need the shift B is the crop sensor, isn't it? Turn the crops, alt B. Crop sensor is on. And there we go. That's a bit better. We're going to be enough to get all of that? Possibly. Just one little triangle behind us that I've missed. Just in through here if we can. No, that's the different soil type. Back up to the top. You can see the rate of applications dropped right away, even though the graphic of the dispersion looks like we're throwing the same amount out. We're only doing a much smaller amount here. Right. So that's that job there done. Let's throw some on the grass field. Not that that should mean much. Well, in fact, in spot, it's already covered. We're not putting much on here either, so that's good. Just topping it up a little bit. That was a nice, pleasant surprise finding out that this field is almost entirely loam. Makes me smile to realise Mr. CLEP built his oil refinery on it. But I digress. You don't do the soil testing, you don't know. Well, you can get a bit of a hint. Sometimes it tells you what the predicted yields from regular fields are, but because this was all unplanned fields, just meadow, we didn't have particular insight. And so after this, we're going to go down to field 24, which is, oops, not far away. Let's do that again. It's down just near where the engineering firm that we use to build the silo is located. It's pretty close. But it's a reasonable sized field, so it could take a little while. And if you weren't with us in the last episode, you would have missed the fact that Kevin and Jocelyn succumbed to the financial pressures of the spinnery, and they've put in a small boutique sheep pen. Well, boutique, it'll ultimately run to 100 sheep, which should provide enough wool to keep the spinnery operating and therefore pay down the loan, because we saw that 6 months worth or thereabouts of fabric paid off half of what we borrowed. So if over the next year we can get enough wool for another 6, which might be a challenge, but given we've only started with lambs and only a dozen of them, but nonetheless, we're on track to wiping out that aspect of our borrowings. So, and in time, should be able to get back ahead. What would be really good to do now is, as we come into the harvest season, generate some serious income so that we can get to work on our ranching operation and get that back in balance. Kevin's certainly worried about how he's perceived in town now that he's in the spinnery and he's gone and bought those poor man's ranch animals. Okay, so there's our field all done there. And if we come and have a look, we're just talking about animals. So our Angus are coming along quite nicely. You'll remember we only started off, or we bought this lot here as mature animals, and the rest as lambs. So the mature animals have already bred, have already bred once, and they'll do, with any luck, twice more before we sell them. So once more later this year and then once next year. And I'm kind of looking for a price up in the 3,700 somewhere range around there, I think. So we'll see how we're going, but we're on track. A nice little amount of money is building here. They're fine for food. We're just feeding them hay. We're not worrying about mixed ration for our beef cattle. They've got plenty of water for the minute. And the ones that we got as calves, of course, are at various stages through puberty. So we need to, I'm thinking sort of triple or quadruple the size of the herd at least. But it's underway. Milk cows are 4 months old. And so they've still got a way to go to reach puberty. And when we start to get some silage organised, we probably need to think about switching them across to total mixed ration. So while they're eating hay, we're not going to get any milk at all. So that's they need to get a little bit older before we worry about that. And of course, there's our 10 sheep, and they're doing fine. No wool as yet. Well, haven't even had them a full month. So that's the animal situation. Let's put a little bit more fertiliser in this tank, because this won't be enough for that field. We can shovel it out of there. How far across the trailer that length of the shovel reaches? Not that far, so we'll go around the other side. Might as well put it all in, it's easier to move around then. And if we have a look at the map, we'll see that field 24 is right here. So there's the engineering works. There's our spinnery. So it's just on the corner there. So let's head down and get that one sorted out, shall we? Everybody's crops looking a little bit healthy, looking reasonably healthy, so that's good to see. It's interesting, we haven't had the array of contracts that I would necessarily have expected. So if we were just relying on contract income to get going, we'd probably find it a bit skinny. That being said, the baling contracts are pretty lucrative, so if you wanted to do those, that's available. Go a bit old school and we can see exactly where we are. We might just go straight up on that line, I think. This shouldn't take too long at all. Reduce the spread width there a little bit. While we try and finish this pin off and get the bit we missed behind us. Oops. %. $97.98, and that will do us, I think. Let's finish this little triangle here. Terrific. Let's see if there's any others that have popped up. It's pretty late in the planting season, so may not have. Look here. Oh, while we look at it, what crops have we got in the ground? So there's a fair amount of sugar beet gone in. As you can see, no cotton planted at all, which is part of why the Kevin was worried about the spinnery. A couple of fallow fields sitting there. So be interesting to see. There's 4 canola, a couple of wheat along with ours. So we'll see what happens there. And let's have a look. Fertilizing we can collect on you. And there is nothing else to be had. But at least that's put us up about 6,000. That won't be enough yet to hire the harvester that we need, so we might need to generate some more silage. Or harvest somebody else's fields first. We just have to we can always cut the grass around the house to make some silage. That would probably give us a few thousand. And maybe that's something we need to do. And we can always take next month, take an early cut off the grass meadow. We know that gives us a good couple of 100,000 litres, so, or at least it did before we seeded it ourselves, so probably a little bit more. I don't think that's, well, that's certainly not the maximum cut length. I don't think we could cut it at that length. Let's just have a look here. No, that's growing. Nothing we need to do in here with the fertiliser, so we can take the spreader back to the farm. And just check the water situation. I don't remember if our beef cattle need some water. Slurry and manure looks fine there. There we go. Water is okay for the moment. I don't think we'll worry about that today. So it looks like the most productive way to spend the rest of the day may indeed be to get some grass around the house. So I think that's where I'll leave it for today. And next time when we come back, there will be, this grass will have been mowed. We won't do it on a course because the money is important to us. But that's where we're going to leave it, folks. Thank you very much for watching. And the harvest season should kick off next month, and there are some barley fields around, so we might get some barley. That will make for some interesting progress, and also they move into the harvest season on our own crops and get the cash happening again. So thanks very much for watching. Until next time, see ya.